How's it going, everyone? This is Boots with Snapkeep Arcade. Spoiler season for Guilds of Ravnica is officially underway, and we have some amazing cards to go over. But first, I want to make a quick disclaimer. Magic is a tough game for various reasons, and one thing that is especially difficult is evaluating new cards. I remember being made fun of at my local LGS for saying how amazing the Scarab God was when he was spoiled, and disagreeing when that was the majority opinion until he broke out.
But I don't think it does much on its own. Like, if you just put this in a deck and you top deck it and you just play it, like, figure upkeep, each opponent loses X life, and you scry X, Rex the number of zombies. Like, if your zombies are 0, it just doesn't do anything.
But then again, I was also with the community 100% when they said Jace Vryn's Prodigy was unplayable. Spoiler season is my favorite time of the year because it sparks endless conversations about the power level of cards, and conversation and debate is critical in the weeks leading up to the first time we play a new set. I invite and encourage everyone watching to leave a comment telling me what you think I got wrong or right, and engage with everyone else who comments. Let's get a conversation going. For now, let's jump right into the new cards. Dimir Informant costs 2 colorless and a blue for a 1/4 human rogue. When Dimir Informant enters the battlefield, surveil 2. This card is definitely made for limited, and depending on how powerful Surveil is, I could easily see picking up one of these late in a draft to fill my curve or power whatever graveyard engine I have running. Whisper Agent costs 1 colorless mana and 2 hybrid blue or black mana for a 3/2 human rogue. Whisper Agent has flash and reads, when Whisper Agent enters the battlefield, surveil 1. I started playing Magic around Return to Ravnica, so seeing hybrid mana again is just great. Hopefully over the next 2 years the devotion mechanic returns so we can take full advantage of hybrid mana. Whisper Agent seems like a totally reasonable card in Limited, but its 2 toughness makes it a little more vulnerable than I'd like. This card is one that would make the cut to fill out my curve, but I can definitely picture better cards in the 3 mana slot. Fresh-Faced Recruit costs 1 colorless and a hybrid red or white mana for a 2/1 human soldier. As long as it's your turn, Fresh-Faced Recruit has First Strike. Boros is an archetype that wants to attack, so abilities like First Strike help you make profitable attacks. If you pair this card with good mentor cards, I could see Fresh-Faced Mentor as a great 2-drop in Limited. Sumala Woodshaper costs 2 colorless mana, a green, and a white for a 2/1 elf druid. When Sumala Woodshaper enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature or enchantment card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. This seems way too expensive for 4 mana, and I'm not sure it's exactly what you want to be doing in green and white. Convoke requires a lot of cheap creatures to work, so spending a turn to drop a 2/1 and hopefully get a creature or enchantment doesn't seem to fit that strategy. But we still don't know exactly how the archetype is going to play out, and the fact that the card lets you put an enchantment into your hand makes me think that there's much more to Selesnya than I think there is. I'm excited to see if my opinion on this card changes over the next 2 weeks of spoilers. Hypothesizzle costs 3 colorless mana, a blue, and a red for an instant. Draw 2 cards. Then you may discard a non-land card. When you do, Hypothesizzle deals 4 damage to target creature. I think this card is awesome. It draws you cards, fuels your graveyard, and will kill a major threat. You'll definitely want to discard your jumpstart cards most of the time to increase Hypothesizzle's value. This card is first pickable in draft. Just great all around. Goblin Electromancer costs a blue and a red for a 2/2 Goblin Wizard. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 colorless less to cast. There's a lot of talk around this card in Standard, especially with Gutter Snipe and the M19 Enigma Drake reprint being legal in Standard. I don't know if a shell like that could be a top tier deck in Standard, but cards like this should always be in the back of your mind when deck building. Goblin Electromancer has a lot of potential to see constructed play. Sunhome Stalwart costs 1 colorless and a white for a 2/2 human soldier. Sunhome Stalwart has First Strike and Mentor. Sunhome Stalwart's Mentor ability will only be able to target a creature with 1 power the first time it attacks, but if you pair this card with other Mentor cards, especially Mentor cards with higher power, Sunhome Stalwart progressively gets stronger and stronger. I think Mentor is an ability that will seem slow at first, but if left unchecked will exponentially take over the game. Sunhome Stalwart is a great card in Limited and is one I'll be looking to draft alongside other Mentor creatures. Chromatic Lantern costs 3 colorless for an artifact. Lands you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color. Chromatic Lantern also has tap, add 1 mana of any color. This card is a $15 card in paper right now and is played heavily in Commander. I don't know how much play this will see in Standard, but it might have a spot in Arena Modern, the new format we'll be getting with the release of Guilds of Ravnica that covers all cards printed since Kaladesh. This card will also see tons of play when Brawl comes to Arena. Next up, we have our first split cards. Find costs 2 green or black hybrid mana for a sorcery. Return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. Finality costs 4 colorless, a black, and a green for a sorcery. You may put 2 +1/+1 counters on a creature you control. Then all creatures get -4/-4 until end of turn. This card is so close to seeing play in Constructed, but I think it might be a little too expensive. Viable board wipes without conditions typically cost 5 mana. With the conditions applied to Finality, not guaranteeing a wipe, I don't see this being playable in Constructed. However, this card is going to be incredible in Draft. Response costs 2 red or white hybrid mana for an instant. Response deals 5 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. Resurgence costs 3 colorless, a red, and a white for a sorcery. Creatures you control gain first strike and vigilance until end of turn. After this main phase, there is an additional combat phase followed by an additional main phase. Boros is typically a very aggressive deck when in Standard, so this card probably suffers from the same problems Find in Finality suffers from. It's just a little too expensive to see Constructed play. Response is, well, responsive, so it won't fit well with a proactive archetype like Boros. It's more of a control card. Again though, this card is great in Limited and will fit in any deck running white or red. Dream Eater costs 4 colorless and 2 blue for a 4/3 Nightmare Sphinx, probably the coolest creature type ever, with flash and flying. When Dream Eater enters the battlefield, surveil 4. When you do, you may return target non-land permanent an opponent controls to its owner's hand. This card is a limited bomb. It has evasion, a powerful body, built-in removal, and helps you find whatever spell you need to close out the game. Niv Mizzet Perrin costs 3 blue mana and 3 red mana for a legendary 5/5 dragon wizard with flying. Niv Mizzet can't be countered. Whenever you draw a card, Niv Mizzet Perrin deals 1 damage to any target. Whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell, you draw a card. This card seems too hard to cast for what you're getting. He doesn't affect the game the turn he comes down, and if he's killed before he does anything, you essentially paid 6 mana to draw a card and have your opponent discard a card. This card seems like it was made for Commander, Brawl, and Limited, but even then, Niv Mizzet isn't the card I hope to see in my rare slot. In summary, he's just okay. Last but definitely not least, we have my favorite card spoiled so far, and one I think will have an impact on not only Standard, but various older formats as well. Assassin's Trophy costs a black and a green for an instant. Destroy target permanent an opponent controls. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle their library. This card is probably the most powerful removal spell they've printed in years. It destroys a creature, an enchantment, an artifact, a planeswalker, or a land. How many flipped as Kantas will be demolished by this card? The answer? All of them. And the later the game goes, the find a basic land clause becomes less of a drawback. Make sure to save those wild cards because this card will be a 4 of in any deck that runs them. And that does it for today's spoiler video. Snapkeep Arcade will be uploading spoiler videos every weekday this spoiler season. And make sure to check out our 25-minute Liliana Vess lore video dropping tonight. If you like this video, please subscribe to Snapkeep Arcade and hit that bell icon to be notified whenever I upload a new video. This has been Boots with Snapkeep Arcade. Thanks for watching.